The next knife is also a knife that I don't own anymore. It's the Cold Steel Pocket Bushman. It is a full metal constructed outdoorsy folder with a weird and unusual locking system. The locking system is also not the greatest, I guess, because it is very dangerous in combination with those slick metal scales, I guess. I guess not scales because it was basically an integral, but yeah, very dangerous locking system in combination with a full metal handle, and it was a fun knife though, I have to say. The Pocket Bushman performed really well, especially at chopping tasks, which is not a task folding knives are obviously designed to do, but it worked very, very well for those things. The Pocket Bushman was an outstanding fun knife category, really good knife to goof around with. And maybe not the best outdoorsy folder because the lock and the metal handles don't make it perfect for that, but for the price, really perfect knife. I actually really regret that I sold this. Yeah, I would put the Pocket Bushman into B category for sure. And yeah, like I said, I regret that I actually sold this because it was a good knife. Next up is the Cold Steel Finwolf. The Finwolf is one of the few Scandi ground folders that is on the market. You can probably count the numbers of Scandi ground folders on one hand. There are not a lot of these knives on the market, and this one is really inexpensive. Probably the cheapest Scandi ground folder you can get. Because it's Scandi ground, you have a lot of strength at the spine, but you have a really sharp edge. The only thing that holds this knife back really is the price. This knife is so inexpensive that it can only come in Aus 8 and plastic scales. If they would have made this at a higher price range, think about like some 3D contoured G10 scales and maybe, I don't know, some higher edge retention steel. Really good, really good knife. But as it is, in this price range that it is in, it's still very good. It's just not perfect. But yeah, the construction is well done. It works very well. It takes a crazy sharp edge because of the Scandi grind. And like I said, it is a good outdoorsy folder. This is a lot more practical as an outdoor knife than the Pocket Bushman, I guess. It's just lacking those materials that would help it to be a perfect knife. But yeah, still definitely a B category knife. Yeah, very underrated in fact. Not a lot of people talk about this, but this is really good. Next up, the Cold Steel Ultimate Hunter. This one is another underrated knife, I guess, in Cold Steel's lineup. It is an outdoorsy folder again, and the strength on the spine, similar to the other knives that I showed you before. Very, very good. A lot of strength on the spine. Higher grind, higher and thinner grind though. Nicely contoured G10 scales. This knife feels really good in the hand. Has a lot of features that a lot of Demco designs have, and it's very good. It's a mid-sized folder. I think it's like a 3.5 inch blade if I had to guess. Action is good, quality is really good. Steel is S35 yen on this particular model. They made this in all kinds of steels over the years though. Yeah, I would also put this into B category. The next knife lives in my bathroom. This is the Ti-lite 6 inch. Ever since I got the 6 inch Ti-lite, I always wanted the 4 inch as well. I just never bought it because I wanted the aluminum version, still do, and I think it's a little bit overpriced though. This is the Cytel version, which is really cheap. These are ridiculously low priced at times. Aus 8 steel on this one. The spine is really thick and sturdy, so you have a lot of strength, and a very narrow blade that is obviously designed to poke and stab. And yeah, obviously a modern interpretation of a stiletto. And the wave feature on this one, so every time you pull this out of your pocket, this opens automatically. The liner lock is bent over, so it's a little bit more strong than a conventional liner lock. not the nicest way to construct a knife here, but in terms of build quality and everything. But yeah, it still works. It is strong and it is very low priced. The scales are very, very nice and round, so they are very, very hand-filling actually. Even though the knife is so narrow, the scales are wide, so it fits in perfectly. So yeah, like I said, this lives in my bathroom, so if you ever break into my house, I will definitely fight you with this Ti-lite naked. So be aware of that, I guess. Just a fun knife. I don't even know where to put this. I think I put this into B category. It gets a little bit tricky now. I had to move over some knives because it's getting a little bit crowded here. And I put the Ti-lite between the Broken Skull and the SO1 Lite. The next knife, or knives I should say, are the Counterpoint series. I had the Counterpoint 1, which I liked quite a bit at first. As I used it though, I realized it's not as slicey as I like my EDC knives to be. As a tactical knife, it was really good, but I sold it because I wanted to have like more of an EDC spear point blade, and I regretted that, bought it again and realized the same thing, that I just don't like it enough in terms of performance. Quality wise was really, really good. So I sold my Counterpoint 1 twice, bought it twice, sold it twice. Still would put it into B category because in terms of a tactical knife it was really good. In terms of practically speaking, it was not as nicely though. I would put it at bottom B category. I still have my Counterpoint XL though, which I do like quite a bit. This one is a devastating piercer and cutter, and it has that nicely done handle scales with the stippling and the clip, the straight clip, which works really well on here. The thumb studs, which is also a nice feature. And yeah, this one is an outstanding spear point blade. It is just very, very big, as all Cold Steel XL folders are. But I think price to performance ratio is really good here. You get a lot of knife. The blade stock thickness is not too thick, but it is still very strong because there is still a lot of mass to this point and all the way to the tip, obviously. So very strong blade. And even though this is so wide, it still pierces very, very well in comparison to thinner ground or shaped blades. So yeah, one of the tricks that the Counterpoint has up its sleeve, I guess, is that it stabs a lot more like a narrow blade. But yeah, I put this in B category also. I think I put it at top B category because it is a knife that performs really, really well. Let's put it right here. The next knife is another knife that I don't have anymore. It's the Cold Steel Espada Large. The larger Espada is still an XL folder, very, very big. I had the G10 version with OS 10A, which was very, very well done, I have to say. The only reason that I sold it was because it was very thick behind the edge, and it was really good at chopping things, but it was not so good at cutting things and slicing things. But I still think it was a really fantastic knife. I kind of regret selling it. I still want an Espada in the very nice shiny version, but I think it's a little bit too expensive. But yeah, overall I think the Espada Large was a fantastic knife, and I would still put it in B category. Probably very high up in B category, I don't know. It was a good knife for sure. So I put the Espada, I think, above the Broken Skull and Finn Wolf. But yeah, somewhere in here, I guess, depending on your preference. The next knife on the list is the Cold Steel Voyager. The Voyager is probably Cold Steel's best knife in terms of price and performance ratio. This is their beater knife. If it would be Spyderco, this would be an Endura basically. It's a simple backlock with a thinly ground blade, or decently thin ground blade I should say. Nice medium-sized or medium thickness blade stock, so a little bit of robustness, a little bit of sliciness. Very wide blades again, as on most Cold Steel knives. 10A, the best steel the Voyager ever came in. I had Voyagers in all kinds of steels, so BD1, AUS 8. I think 10A is the best steel for this knife design. The simplistic plastic scales with the Crusader crosses, which is an interesting feature, but yeah, no, nonetheless, it's a very aggressive feature on the pants. So I ground those down, which I don't care for the looks because this is a nice beater knife. I have the large version in 3 different blade shapes actually. This is the Tanto, also an AUS 10. This one has hollow ground as opposed to the flat ground clip point. And I also have the large serrated Vaquero blade, which is discontinued. This one is probably my favorite Voyager of all times. This one is just so nice as a self-defense, and even as an EDC knife, this is just so useful with the serrations. I always forget if this is BD1 or AUS 8. I think it's BD1, but I'm not totally sure. Both the Tanto and the Clip Point are A category knives. I put them somewhere in between here because I think the price to performance ratio is really good. The Vaquero blade I put even higher in the rankings. Actually put it here. That's just my personal preference, obviously, but I just like that blade shape. And yeah, I do also have the Vaquero in plain edge XL. So the XL has a more stretched out handle that allows for different grips. The large version is a more singular grip knife. So there's one grip you hold this in, it's the saber grip. You can choke up in a hammer, but most of the times you hold it like this. And these you can change the grips around a little bit more, which is nice for actual use. So you have a lot of different options. You can even hold it way back here and it still works really well. I use it for chopping down soft branches. Still works because the Tri-lock is strong enough to do so. The blades are slicey, and the 10A is tough enough to chop smaller branches. Not a lot, but not like the really thick and nasty stuff, but the softer and smaller stuff goes through materials really nicely. And for bottle cutting tasks, these are fantastic, obviously. I also put these in A category. I just don't have any more room to put these in. And I'm not sure where to put this, but I think I would actually rank the XL Voyagers above the large ones. I still would put the Vaquero large above the XLs though. Here is another Vaquero. This one is the fully serrated XL version. This was my next to bad knife for a long time. I got replaced by a very deadly Taipan now. This one has a nice lanyard on here. And I put these on the sides, but these are basically on the same level as the plain edge Vaquero. So I just don't have any more room on here. This is a Tanto. This one is hollow ground also. The Tanto's all hollow ground and the other versions are flat. So the Tanto is strong all the way to the tip. The other one's thinning down. Actually, I just show you. The other one's thinning down quite significantly more. So depending on your preference in terms of tip strength. I like the pointier tips, but I will say when you need it, the Tanto is very reliable. This one is an old version in AUS 8. This one was like 70 bucks, which is crazy. I mean, some of these I got for such a low cost. Most of these were like 70 euros. Some were even 60. I mean, crazy low prices on these Voyagers, which is why they are so great. And this is the Clip Point XL, which I also like better than the large Clip Point. So yeah, I think the Clip Point here comes to its full expression. I should do a video dedicated just for the Voyagers because I don't think I have any other knife in my collection as often. as a Voyager. So yeah, I think the blade is just nicer on the XL version here. So I would rank this above the large clip-on end hand tool, but below the Vaquero large. Very nice. This one also has a cool lanyard on here. If you know what this game is, you are a cool person, I guess. So the next two knives are also put on as a pair because these two are very, very similar in terms of their build quality. And I think they're very different though to all the other ones on the table because these are just differently made, and I don't know why. But these two knives right here are the best cold steel knives in terms of build quality. And I don't know what the reason is. Are these made in a different factory? These are also made in Taiwan, but the build quality is just better on these. Both of them are very slim, a lot slimmer than most other cold steel knives. So these are very thinly constructed and with a nice G10. These are medium textures or even soft textures, I would say. Yeah, these are softer than the Broken Skull, so these are soft textured. And this is the Black Talon 2. This is basically Cold Steel's interpretation of a Spyderco Civilian. So they asked Spyderco for permission to do this, and this is probably one of the deadliest knives on the market. The only reason I picked this over a Civilian was actually multiple reasons. First, the price. Second, the wave feature, which on this one it makes sense. So those were my reasons. And the steel on here is S45VN, which I like better in this case than XHP. Usually I like XHP better in terms of EDC, but for a tactical knife, S45VN is a lot more stainless. So it is a better choice in my opinion, because edge retention is not the primary goal of this knife. It has plenty of edge retention for what you do here. The steel is flat as opposed to most cold steels being hollow. The tip is really, really fine at its very point. Not sure if you can see that. And yeah, this is a devastating knife. This knife is so terrifying. I showed this to people that train martial arts as I do, and they would never use this on a human being because they think this is way too intense. And I totally agree. I actually would be terrified of what this would do to a human being. So this is, yeah, this is the deadliest knife on the planet, perhaps the deadliest pocket knife at least. This shape is so nasty. And I think the serrations are the way to go here, because if you go overkill, you should go double overkill, I guess. Yeah, the handle shape is really, really well executed here. Locks you in nicely, but not forces you not into a certain position, so you can still move around a little bit. And it is very lightweight, very thin. The only drawback of both of these, both the Karambit, which I'm going to show you in a second, and the Black Talon, is the pocket clip is too big, too shiny, and has a ramp that is a little bit too high. But other than that, these are perfect knives. These are A category knives because of their build quality for sure. I just don't have any more room, but I probably rank them below the Voyagers just because of their usability. But in terms of quality, like I said, these are the best quality cold steel knives on the market. Now the Tiger Claw is in XHP here, which, like I said, is not my preferred steel for a tactical knife. This one is also flat ground and only has the cutting edge on one side, so it's ground on both sides, cutting edge just on one. As you can see, mine has a little bit of damage because I actually trained with this one and hit the table with some metal on it, and the metal did some damage, which in fact is actually very little damage for considering that I hit steel. But yeah, they don't make a trainer of this, which I think they should, because this knife needs a trainer. I'm not sure if they made a version after that that has the same cutout as the Tiger Claw has for the thumb plate. Maybe they have. I'm not 100% sure on that. The Tiger Claw, interesting enough, comes with the clip on the right side. So I guess it is intended to be held and used in the saber grip rather than in reverse grip. I'm not sure, but because the clip comes like this, that's maybe how they want you to use this. And I mean, speaking on karambits, I'm not the biggest fan of karambits anymore. I have a significant, not a significant, but I have a small karambit collection myself because I really used to like them. But I trained with karambits a lot, and I come to the realization that they are not the perfect self-defense knife, mainly because of the ring. The ring and the reverse grip are both things that I don't like as much. The ring puts a lot of impact on your index finger, which is bad, obviously, because your index finger is important. And the reverse grip is not as functional and useful, I think, for self-defense knives, unless it's like a Pikal style grip. But that's just my personal opinion. Obviously, in terms of martial arts, there are so many different opinions out there. I just don't like karambits anymore in terms of their usabilities, but yeah, in terms of their looks, I still like them quite a bit. And this one I keep because I think it's one of the best karambits, folding karambits on the market, actually. I'm not even sure if this is still in production though. But yeah, by the way, the cutting edge on this is crazy sharp because of that cutting edge that is just on one side. Also an A category knife for sure. The next two knives are the cold steel Talwars. This is the Talwar Large. This, in fact, was one of my first cold steel knives. This one is still in AUS 8. They do make this or remake this in S35 yen. It was discontinued for a while. Great knife. Great knife. In fact, this is one of my most favorite knife designs ever because it has that nice duality to it. It has a blade that goes up and a handle that goes down. So it has this nice flow to it, if you know what I mean. This is beautiful. If you have seen one of the very old versions, the versions that has bolsters and smooth G10, those are really beautiful. But this is constructed as most cold steel knives in that time. The triad lock on this one is a little bit tight. My Recon one in AUS 8 is the same. The XHP versions that came later were a lot better constructed. But this is as it is. And yeah, I would never get rid of this because this knife has been in my pocket in very important life moments for me. And yeah, for that reason, I will keep this forever. And even though the construction is not perfect, I have a lot of edge damage, or had a lot of edge damage. I sharpened it out, or partially sharpened it out on my blade because I cut really stupid stuff with this in very difficult situations. It had to be cut, damaged the blade significantly though. So it's not the same as it used to be, but I refused to sharpen it out completely because I would remove so much steel from that blade. And yeah, if it has to be resharpened because it's dull, I will. But I will leave the part of the damage in there, like I said, because I don't want to waste that blade. The G10 was coarse, I think, when it came. This one has smoothed down quite significantly over the years. The blade stock on these is really thin, and they put that swedge on here, which is more of an aesthetic thing, I think. It could be used as a bone crusher, I guess. This one really hurts if you hit somebody with this on the back. It actually hurts quite a bit. It has the thumb plate, again, which I don't like as much, but it is very functional as, I guess, for a self-defense knife. Sorry for the focus, by the way. Yeah, I put a 9mm on the lanyard here. This was one of the last rounds that I shot out of my service pistol when I was in the military. So, like I said, this is a special knife for me. The logo here is very bright because I I think I removed the logo or the color accidentally by rubbing it clean with something, and on both sides it got rid of the color. But yeah, you can see the old school Cold Steel logo here still on the blade. So beautiful. I like this so much. This is definitely an A category knife. I wish the build quality was higher. I think it is on the newer versions, but like I said, mine is really old, and yeah, we'll never get rid of this. I think I ranked this very high up on the list. Maybe between or at the same level as a extra large Voyager, just because it means so much to me. This is the bigger version of the Talwar, the XL, which is just enormous and very, very beautiful at the same time. This one happens to be green G10 and CTS XHP. Can't even speak anymore. Again, very thin blade stock and a very wide blade, very thinly ground, very pokey, and a Persian style upswept on the tip, which is not nice for EDC stuff, but very, very good for tactical stuff. This knife shreds bottles with such a intensity, it's scary. This knife is very, very devastating and very fun if you practice on cutting mats and water bottles. The handle is a little bit different to the large version. So it has the same finger grooves, but it has a little bit more space. So these lock you in nicely, but these you can move around a little bit more. So you have those different positions that you can use the knife in. Again, as with the Voyager, can have that pistol grip and grip it way back here. And I put the lanyard on here. I put the lanyard on most of the XL knives, if you have noticed. And the reason that is not just for aesthetics, partially for aesthetics also, because yeah, that also matters, but you can extend that grip and you also can pull it a little bit easier. So with the lanyard you pull it, because these ride very low in the pocket, which is nice. These are waistband knives, by the way, most of the time. So for the waistband, the thumb disc is not as good. I prefer the Voyagers for that, with the thumb pin, but the thumb stud. But if you use it, it works well. Just have to be careful because that upswept tip might cut your pants if you pull it. So you have to pull it at just the right angle. Yeah, these are still made. I think they're very overpriced now though. And yeah, again, I would prefer the S45N for a tactical knife, but the XHP is just cool as well. So I put this in A category. I just put it a little bit lower down here. Personally I prefer the Voyager XL. The last two knives on the list. This video has been very long, by the way, as you noticed. If you're still watching, this video is very difficult to do also because my voice is just giving up at times. But the last two knives on this list are very, very cool Cold Steel knives. They are discontinued by now, but they are a very important part of Cold Steel's history, I think. These are the Twist Masters. So if you know the Opinel knife, this is basically Cold Steel's version of an Opinel. Instead of wood, they used plastic scales. Obviously that Cold Steel color combination with a satin blade and plastic scales. These have a nice texture to them, so they are, I guess, the more tactical Opinel. And this one is the drop point version. They are 5-inch blades, I think. They made them in several blade sizes. I only have the 5-inch blades though. So these are very, very big knives. And this drop point is so beautiful. I mean, look at this. The continuous curve on that cutting edge. I mean, there is not a single bit of straight edge. It's all curvature. It's so beautiful. And the steel on this is Carbon V. Carbon V is an American carbon steel, I guess. So these, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think these were made in the US. And Carbon V yeah, is a steel that Cold Steel used a lot back then. They used it on the SRK, the Trailmasters, and on a lot of their knives actually. Cold Steel was big in carbon steels before they moved to more stainless options. A lot of people don't know that. And they are called the Twist Masters because they have the twist lock, same as on the Opinel. Same locking system, just differently executed with those. I guess these are for gripping. The blade stock is somewhere between thin and thick, so it's a medium thickness blade stock, a little bit of robustness, a lot of sliciness in that white blade, and just a beautiful shape. I had a lot of patina on this, like a bluish patina, which I remove every once in a while. So every time I use it, I remove the patina to make it look a little bit more pristine, I guess. But this is such a beautiful knife. And Cold Steel, being Cold Steel, obviously, they made a Tento version of this. So they had a Tento, a clip point, and a drop point. And the Tento version is, I think this one is flat ground, as opposed to later Tentos all being hollow. And this one is a lot stouter on the tip. As you can see, this tip has been used a little bit. You can still get these on eBay every once in a while. And they are fantastic, I think, as collection knives. They're not the most modern knives, obviously, anymore. Some of these are a little bit worn out. You have to be careful because people that use them too hard, this is, I'm the second owner, of course, the twist lock pushed into the plastic scales, and if that scale cracks, the lock doesn't work as well, so you get a lot of blade play. This one, my drop point, is still perfect, but this one has been abused a little bit too much, I guess. But yeah, I still have it because it is a very nice collection piece, I guess. And I would actually put both of these in A category because I think they are fantastic knives for the time they came out, and the carbon wheel is still a cool steel, very collectible steel at this point. I don't know where I put these in the rankings, but they're definitely A category knives. As you can see, in fact, we have a lot of A category knives, some really good B category knives, very few C and D category knives. So I think that tells a lot. I still wish some of the C category knives were made a little bit nicer because they would definitely have made it into A or B category. But yeah, this is it. This is my Cold Steel folding knife collection. If you like this concept of video, let me know in the comments if you want to see the same type of video with my Cold Steel fixed blade collection. Yeah, I hope you had a good start into the new year, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It was very long. I apologize for that. Thank you very much for watching, and maybe we see each other in another video. Goodbye, people.